This is the story of West Germany in 1980 European Football Championship. The 1980 European Football Championship final tournament was held in Italy. It was the first edition to feature 8 teams, taking place between 11 and the 22nd of June 1980. Because of the expanded format, the final tournament went through some changes as well. 2 groups of 4 teams each were created. Each team would play all others within their group. The winners of the groups would go straight to the final, while the runners-up disputed the third-place playoff. The tournament generally failed to draw much enthusiasm from spectators and TV viewers. Attendance was generally poor except for matches involving the Italian team. The defensive style of play of many teams led to a succession of dull matches. Hooliganism, already a rising problem in the 1970s, made headlines again at the first-round match between England and Belgium, where riot police had to use tear gas, causing the match to be held up for 5 minutes in the first half. The only bright spots were the emergence of a new generation of talented German stars such as Bernd Schuster, Hans-Peter Briegel, Horst Rubesch, Hansi Müller, and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. And the inspirational performance of Belgium around rising stars such as Jan Selmans, Eric Gerets, Jean-Marie Pfaff, and Erwin Vandenberg. At qualification stage, Group 7 consisted of West Germany, Wales, Turkey and Malta. West Germany easily won the group, outrunning Turkey by 3 points. It was a new team for a new tournament. The first major international championship of the decade had gone in for a rebrand. The European Championship in Italy was called Europa 80 by the organizers and had expanded to 8 teams to be split into 2 groups of 4, with the winners of each group to progress directly to the final. It was an awkward format, and one that would not be repeated. Group 1 pitted West Germany and the Netherlands together again, with Czechoslovakia and Greece making up the quartet. Attendances were relatively poor, with only 15,000 turning up to see the Germans take on Czechoslovakia. Rummenigge's influence on the new German team was apparent immediately. In the opening match of the tournament, a rematch of the 1976 final with Czechoslovakia in front of a crowd of barely over 10,000, he scored the only goal of the game in the second half.
Und die Möglichkeit und das Tor, Rummenigge. Da ist es nochmal, Hansi Müller.
Their second match of the tournament saw a resumption of hostilities with the Netherlands. Both sides were pale imitations of the iconic teams that had contested the 1974 World Cup final, though the Dutch were by far the more translucent.
Auf Rubesch, Fehler von Kohl, Rubesch! Ei, ei, ei! Schuster, Schuster! Und Tor! Wenn er die Kraft hat. Müller. Da muss er rumkommen, auf den linken Fuß. Und Tor!
Striker Klaus Elofs, a replacement for the injured Klaus Fischer, scored a hat-trick to put West Germany 3-0 after just over an hour. A Johnny Rep penalty and a Willy van de Kerkhoff screamer in the last 11 minutes gave the Germans a bit of a late scare, but the 3-2 scoreline flattered the Netherlands. With the other matches in the group failing to project a team past them, West Germany had already qualified for the final before they played out a 0-0 draw with Greece in front of another derisory attendance in Turin. Their opponents in the final would be Belgium, who caused a shock by edging Italy in Group 2. The final was held in Rome's Olympic Stadium and was, mercifully, a belter. Advantage swung from team to team as both sides adopted an entertaining and attacking approach. The Belgians had an excellent nucleus of their own. Ahead of Faf were Eric Gerets, Jan Selmans, René van der Ecken and François van der Elst, all part of the best generation of players Belgium had ever had. In international football though, history weighs heavily in the scales. Their opposition might have been a young team, but it was West Germany, twice world champions and in their third European Championship final on the spin. The Germans dominated the first half against an overawed Belgian side. A chest trap followed by a smart finish by Hamburg forward Horst Rubesch put the Germans in front.
Schuster, en combinación con Alox y Rubesch, y el primer tanto sube al marcador.
And they would have been out of sight by halftime but for brilliant saves by Faf from Muller, Schuster and then Alofs. In the second half Belgium came back and the Germans were stretched for the first time in the tournament. Van der Ecken leveled the game with a penalty after 75 minutes after Stielike had committed an outrageous professional foul on van der Elst, which had been just outside the penalty area.
Está buceando, ahí tenemos a Van der Eycken, y gol. Van der Eycken acaba de marcar.
To regain control West Germany started to shift the ball to Rummenigge on the left. One jet-heeled burst past three Belgian defenders and into the penalty area almost set up a chance for Muller. With 2 minutes remaining, he helped to force a corner. I was always allocated the job of taking corners, said Rummenigge, because of course Horst Rubesch in the middle was our header monster. There was a photographer nearby as Rummenigge prepared to swing the ball in. I said, "Aim your camera at Rubesch now," remembered Rummenigge. He looked at me and said, "Why?" And I said, "Just point it." If the photographer followed the instruction, he would have snapped the winning goal. Rummenigge planted his corner perfectly onto the head of Rubesch in the 6-yard box, who glanced the ball into the net. West Germany had won the European Championship for the second time.
Y en este instante el árbitro rumano, señor Rainea, indica el final del partido al que se llega con el resultado totalmente justo a nuestro juicio de Alemania 2, Bélgica 1.